Hey everyone, and in the previous video we covered about cloud computing and the basics of cloud computing. If you have not seen that video, in that case I would suggest you should look into that video. But in this video what we are going to do, we are going to address the very important aspects of it. We can say this is the working model. If we say this is the service delivery model, there are so many things we say, but ultimately this is known as a service thing. Okay, so basically we have three kind of which are basic model, which are infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. So first of all, let's try to understand with infrastructure as a service, what do we mean by that, and why do we need that? So let's start with the very first thing. Let's say we have our own server. Now to manage that server, we need three basic things. That is security. And again, I'm going to write it as I feel. We need maintenance. So like the coolant or whatever you call it. Okay. And we need upfront cost. Now, why do we need upfront cost? Because we have to buy everything. Now, the server is not the only hardware we are going to buy. We are going to buy the wires, we are going to buy the connectivity, we are going to buy the bandwidth, or whatever you can call it. So basically building a new house for ourselves. Okay. Now, if we talk about these things, especially this one, if you are a big company, that is okay for you. You can do that. But if you're not a big company, it becomes very difficult for you to do all this. So what we do, instead of doing all this headache to create an application, to release our application to the world, what we do, instead of actually having all these kind of things, we transfer that responsibility to the cloud provider. So like, let's say this is a cloud provider. So what we are going to do, we are going to say, okay, I need some infrastructure so that I can start my application. So they say, okay, what kind of an infrastructure you need? So we say we need a virtual machine. So what they do, they provide you a virtual machine, usually like, let's say 8 gigs of RAM they are going to provide. They're going to provide you 200 gigs of storage, and they are going to provide you 1 terabyte of bandwidth. This is just the example I'm using. Okay. Now, let's say it is going to cost you $10 per month to manage that. Now, the advantage here is that I don't have to take care about the security, how this VM is secured from outside the world. I'm not talking about the application security, I'm talking about the physical security. I don't have to take care of the maintenance part of it. Again, this is the physical aspect of I'm talking about this virtual machine. And again, the upfront cost. I don't have to spend millions of dollars to just get started with that infrastructure. So at this core, this is a very basic example of what do we mean by infrastructure as a service. Now let's say if I want to increase something, instead of 8 GB, I need now 16 gigabyte of RAM. Okay, so let's say according to this cloud provider, this pricing model is not going to be satisfied. Now I need around $15 per month. So this is not a very huge cost for me. Just an example I'm using. I'm not sure like this is how the pricing works, but you can understand what we mean by that. Instead of us spending thousands of dollars just to get started, we are spending just little amount of money. We are testing our application. If it is working, we are scaling it out and we are investing our money into it. And if it is not working, we are not wasting our money into that. And these are the important points. If I talk about, I don't have to worry about the security. I don't have to worry about the maintenance of it. I don't have to worry about the upfront cost of it. So at core, this is the very basic understanding. This is not the definition of infrastructure as a service, but yes, this is how infrastructure as a service works. Okay, now let's try to understand what is platform as a service. So we have the infrastructure running, we have this server running. Now this server is of course not going to have everything. Sorry, it's not just the piece of server. It is going to have something in it. So for sake of us understanding, it has Linux as an operating system. Okay, and I think there is a spelling mistake. It is X not S. Okay, and in terms of various applications, we are using PHP. Just for an example, we are using PHP as our application, like the language which is going to run our application. Now the problem is this has certain limitations, like it has some updates. I'm talking about updates of the Linux, patches, okay, and fixes. Currently, let's try to assume that these all things are different. Same happens with PHP. It has update, it has some patching, it has some fixes which has to be done. Now we have to hire a person who is going to do it for Linux. We have to hire a person who is going to do for PHP, or that could be a system admin who's going to do it for us. The problem is if they miss out something, let's say they miss out on the update part of PHP. Now this is going to leave our application vulnerable. If they miss out the fixing of some Linux vulnerability, they are going to again leave our application vulnerable to the outside world. Now, this is a problem which happens usually with system admins because, of course, we are human beings, so we tend to forget that because we have so many things. Now, let's assume I'm talking about this just one server. We have 100 different servers. We have 100 different servers. So what will happen? It will become literally impossible for us to actually update them and patch them. So what we do, instead of going to all this headache, we utilize the power of platform as a service. So what happens? We are going to have a particular platform which is designed by the cloud provider. Okay, so all the update part, the patching part, the fixing part is taken care by the cloud provider, that cloud provider, and everything else we have to manage. So if we have just not just one, we have 100 servers. So all that thing, the patching, the update, the fixing, if I may, will be handled by the cloud provider. So it will become literally easy for the system admin to manage at this scale. And secondly, I don't have to install everything. So like, let's say if I'm running a new server, if I'm including a new server, so whatever infrastructure I was using here, so whatever infrastructure, like let's say Linux plus PHP I was using here, L plus P, if I may, L plus P. So I can simply replicate the whole modules, the libraries directly to that particular new server, and it's not going to cost me anything. And of course, yeah, that depends upon the cloud provider, but yes, it is not going to cost me the most valuable thing, time. So with the help of platform as a service, it becomes very easy for us to do this update, patching, or fixing, especially for my one server or more than one server. Okay. Secondly, this is taken care by the cloud providers. So I, as an individual, or I, as a team of people, can concentrate on one of the most important thing, that is application development and like again updating the application, or like providing more services to our users instead of focusing on this manual task which actually destroys the time. So this is what platform as a service in cloud computing is. Okay, now let's try to discuss about software as a service, which is one of the most famous model if I talk about in terms of cloud computing. What it does is, like, I have the infrastructure, fine. I have the platform, that is fine. Now the problem is I'm a very small company and I don't have the resources for the person to create the infrastructure for me. I don't have a person who's going to manage the platform. Of course, cloud can manage that for me, but yes, I don't have a person who's going to take care of it. So what I'm going to do, let's say if I have a specific requirement of a software. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just buy the license of that software. That's it. The security part of that software, maintenance, the patching of that software. I'm not talking about the infrastructure right now. Infrastructure patching, software fixes, same with the platform as a service, infrastructure patching of the software or the maintenance of the platform. If I talk about, I'm currently talking about the software. So this is sort of a third level. At core level, we have infrastructure, then we have software, platform as a service. Now we are talking about infrastructure, software as a service. Again, I do apologize. I'm getting a bit confused. Fine, no issues. So what we are going to do, I don't have these resources. I cannot hire a person who's going to do it for me. It's literally impossible. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to simply pay some money and I'm going to purchase that license of that software for one user or for more than one user, for let's assume 25 users. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to use that software, and once I'm done, I can have either monthly subscription or I can have yearly subscription. If I want to give you an example, Spotify, if you guys are aware of, I don't know how to spell Spotify, I believe. Yeah. So if we talk about Spotify, Spotify is a software as a service to listen and stream music. If I talk about YouTube, YouTube is a software as a service which is for video streaming and video hosting. If we talk about Microsoft Office, It is an office application. It is a software as a service application where I'm just using that software, and how that software is made, how that software is maintained, and how that software is updated is the headache of Microsoft, not mine. Here Spotify is taking care of all the patching and updates, and here Google is taking care of this thing. So this is one of the most popular model among cloud computing, because here as an end user, I don't have to worry about hiring a technical person. I can just have that software with me. I can just have that software with me, and that is what I'm going to use. And everything related to that software is going to be taken care by the person who is giving me that license. So in that case, the company. Now, how this comes handy in cloud computing. So let's say if I'm using certain software, I can have them hosted on cloud. They can be hosted on the cloud of the company, that particular company, whatever services they are using. And I just go there. I'll simply log into that particular portal of there, and I'll start using that application. So this is an example of software as a service. And with this video related to infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software service as a service is over. I hope you guys learned something out of it. If you have some doubts, if you have some questions, you can let me know. You can put down on the comment. I'm here to help you out with this. So with this, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video.